Well, SAA says it anticipates no jet fuel supply issues going into 2023. This after scores of travelers were left frustrated because of delayed domestic flights at the OR Tambo International Airport after the refuelling of aircrafts was impacted because of challenges of what ACSA says is the fuel supply from the fuel storage facility to the main hydrant system. Let's get more on this now. We're now joined in studio by SAA Executive Chairperson and CEO, Professor John Lamola. Prof, thanks very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Thank you for having us.
I want to start by talking, before we get to this current crisis that we're in at the moment, and I wonder if you would in fact call it a crisis, but let's talk about the impact of COVID-19, which is that it has had, on the global aviation sector, which has not just touched SAA, but, generally.
Well, for us as South African Airways, we should remember, as South Africans, that this time last year, we were just recovering from the Omicron variant. We were under partial lockdowns and restrictions. And for SAA, this year marks a great kind of sense of a demonstration of the recovery that SAA has gone through this peak season. I mean, when our customers and families and all of us are going out, traveling, exploring our country, that we are able to put together a formidable flight operation, celebrating that we have come out of COVID. We have now flown for about 21 months since SAA came out of business rescue and since the totality of the COVID restrictions were imposed on us. And we are very happy with the recovery that the whole of the industry is experiencing. But remember, the industry depends on the demand. The fact that people are traveling, we have lots of bookings of pressure. It means that the world is slowly getting back to where it should be.
Yeah, let's talk about what's happening now. Of course, as SAA, you have said that you anticipate no jet fuel supply issues going into 2023. I'm sure you'd like to allay some of those fears about that. Of course, we heard of travelers, being left stranded and frustrated because of delays in domestic flights. What can you tell us about that, and how you plan to in fact solve that problem going into 2023, because you've made the assurance that this isn't going to go on?
Well, jet fuel supply, this particular incident, was totally in the hands of Airports Company South Africa, who control the fuel supply infrastructure at the airport. We have industry-wide a forum where all the airlines participate and they meet. We meet with the ACSA periodically when there are anticipated supply disruptions, which have been quite frequent in the past year because of the situation in Ukraine, etc. But we as SAA generally, we are very fortunate in that besides the contingency plans that we put, that we have a strong regional route network where, for instance, if we have problems in South Africa, we're able to this past week get fuel from, we call it tankering, of more fuel from outside of South Africa, where we are flying from.
And I'm sure you wouldn't want to have, clients who are frustrated with you, given, and I'm going to bring this as a side question, given the amount of money people are paying these days to get onto a flight, can we talk about the issue of pricing? I mean, I have to say it's become quite ridiculous at this point.
Yeah, it is an economic phenomenon of supply versus demand. We have a challenge industry globally because during COVID it was a lot of layoffs, even in the reduction of what we call metal capacity, aeroplanes not being there. In South Africa we have had a number of 1 or 2 airlines that have been removed from the market. So the airline industry work on a reservation system that works on algorithms, same like it happens with hotels.
Yeah.
You know, a hotel will have about 3 prices, and that fluctuates on a daily basis. So similarly with what we experience. But us as South African Airways, we have a national mandate, you know, as a national carrier.
Yeah.
Of ensuring that South Africa has a stable and sustainable air travel industry. Hence, we have put a lot of effort on ensuring that there is more capacity on the market, which means where more aircraft is brought into the market, the more there's more aircraft, the prices will come down, and you will see that happening. Us as SAA, since the beginning of November, we have brought in 3 new aircraft, and we are in the process of acquiring more, increasing our fleet, and that is going to help to bring an equilibrium for the benefit of traveling customers.
Well, that's interesting that you're talking about, increasing your fleet, because I wanted to go to the question of capacity as to how, SAA is dealing with the issue of capacity, following the grounding of quite a few airlines, in the country. How has that affected SAA?
We have a very unique strategic position, very deeply different as SAA from what the SAA that we used to have. Within SAA, we talk about SAA version 2. And the aim about this SAA version 2 is where we are sizing SAA into a profitable, financially sustainable, agile, right-sized airline operation. Mm-hmm. So very, very careful planning, very meticulous planning is going into when do we get fleet, when do we extend our route network. We are slowly, the route network expansion goes with the amount of aircraft that we need. For instance, this past December, we've been able to open new routes to Windhoek, Victoria Falls, and we're now working on Malawi routes. Yeah. And that has impelled on us to increase our fleet. And I must say that for the first time, we're able to run this expansion without dependence on any way to the fiscus. And we're very encouraged by that our own operations and the kind of management that we have in SAA have been very innovative in ensuring that we're able to sustain this growth, and we're looking forward into the future very positively.
Yeah, you're talking about your leaders being innovative and looking forward to growth. That would then lead to the question of the kind of work that is going on behind the scenes to ensure that SAA goes back to its former glory. Some people have said that it's a sinking ship. Some people have said that it's not what it used to be. I mean, what do you make of those sort of comments that are attributed to a company that you're the CEO of?
That's our greatest inspiration. That kind of the reminiscence, if you like, the nostalgia that South Africans have about SAA. We believe that our biggest selling point, our biggest obligation is to deliver the pride of South Africans as we are a flag carrier. But it is amazing that South African Airways is such a revered brand globally, continentally. In fact, continentally, in the continent of Africa, it's more revered than we here in South Africa take South African Airways. And as we fly, every time when you open a route, like the other day we were opening a route in Victoria Falls, in Namibia. We have the embassies here around in Pretoria, African embassies, begging us, when can we see South African Airways on our capitals? So we are inspired by that faith and love that South Africans and Africa have around this brand. Yeah. And it's a serious responsibility that we have to ensure that we do not do anything at SAA that will bring shame to the people of South Africa, that we do not do anything that will not tell the world that South Africa has skilled aviators who are able to mount one of the of the globally recognized aviation brands.
You know, you talk about the respect that SAA has throughout the continent, but there is a problem with one African route at the moment. I'd like to know about the update regarding the landing license in Zambia. Reports are indicating that, you know, the license did expire today. Is SAA at this point sort of sorting out the necessary, you know, you can correct me with the terminology here, but the necessary paperwork, whatever it is, that SAA is supposed to do at this point? Well,
we issued this statement around our Zambia route as part of our preemptive management of our customer relations. We have a view that the convenience of our customers and the loyalty that they have demonstrated, you know, to SAA has to be rewarded. So if we are anticipating any interruption or irregular operations, we issue statements like that. It's a normal thing. But with regard to the Zambian FOP, foreign operators permit, is a normal thing that happens for all aircraft when an aircraft lands into a foreign jurisdiction. We have had a situation in Zambia which is not only affecting South Africa, SAA, but all these South African airlines that are flying into Zambia, where there's been a tardiness in the processing of those FOPs. But we are very fortunate that with the relationships that we have with our Zambian counterparts, it looks like we are not going to have a problem. That our FOP will be extended, and our passengers who are flying between Lusaka and Johannesburg will be able to enjoy the end of their holidays without any disruptions.
All right, Prof, it was a pleasure having you in studio with us. Thank you very much for giving us your time, sir.
I thank you.
All right, that is Professor John Lamola there, the SAA Executive Chairperson as well as CEO.